Now for a movie rant break, One Up presents a movie rant break. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Movie Rant Break. Today I got another dope episode 170. I got a new guest. I got Lee J. Giles in this motherfucker.
What up? What up?
Yo, what's happening, dude?
Not
Appreciate
much.
you.
Do you go by One Up or do you go by a different name? I don't know.
You
that
call
I
me
know
whatever
that.
the fuck you
One
want.
Up? All right.
One up, what up, one up, one.
Up.
My friends call me Jordan. Up. Sup. You know, what's in your cup? I'm just kidding. Don't ever say that. No, we got Lee J. Giles in this motherfucker. And today we got a cool episode. We just watched a really interesting film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Lee J. Giles. Do I have to say the last name too?
You probably don't have to say the middle initial. I don't know if that's...
I like the middle initials.
Yeah. A lot more different stuff might come up if you Google search just Lee J.
Lee J. Fair. Well, that's why I thought Lee J. Giles was like, preferred. Rather.
That'll be the alias down the road.
It's the alias, Lee J.
When I drop Giles, just
straight be like out here, like some gangster shit. Just like call me Lee J, bitch. All right, fair enough. So Lee Giles out here. He's an artist. I don't know if you want to tell people what you're all about real quick before we get up in this.
Yeah, I'm an artist. Doing stuff. We also throw shows with Bars Over Bars. I do stuff with JT Sloan and Beyond the Mic, and we co-throw shows with Bars Over Bars in Portland, Maine. Often.
Word.
I do a lot of artwork for the artists that we have there.
Word.
A lot of art for other artists in New England.
So artists, you draw shit.
Draw shit, different shit.
All right. So appreciate you for being on the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so just to give everybody some insight, this is directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, written by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, produced by Anthony Russo, Joe Russo, which I didn't know, Mike LaRucco, Daniel Kwan.
You didn't know till just now?
I didn't.
See, that was one of the first things at the end. Like, I had a lot of thoughts about the whole movie, and then at the end, I was like, oh, wow, they did that. Like, it was one of the first credits.
It was well put together, so that makes sense, because that was one thing I'm going to say, but I'm going to run through. We got film starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Su, Kei-Hu Kwan, Jenny Slate, Harry Shum Jr., James Hong, and obviously Jamie Lee Curtis. Shout out to Jamie Lee Curtis, goddammit. Cinematography by Larkin Seppel, edited by Paul Rogers, who definitely needs to get big ups to Paul Rogers on the cuts on this film. Music by Son Lux, and came out back March 25th in the U.S. with a runtime of 140 minutes. Budget $25 million. Box office $103.1 million. We got reception from Rotten Tomatoes is 95%. Letterboxd 4.4 out of 5, and Metacritic 81%. IMDb, I don't see a rating at the moment, but I'm sure it was probably in that realm, but maybe not. So Lee? I'm going to hit a brief breakdown real quick, actually. Woman named Evelyn, who is trying to figure her life out in a multiverse of madness. I literally thought this should have been Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. What a crazy time for the movie to come out, just like coinciding with, and what a crazy, just what should have probably happened with Doctor Strange.
Like that's like why I didn't mean to like acknowledge you and then like cut you off, but I wanted to lead in with like, any Marvel fans out there, this is what the Multiverse of Madness should have been for Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
But instead we got Evelyn, who held it down. Like, I'll fuck with her. But this is definitely what I thought Doctor Strange 2 should have been.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially, when I forget, I'm kind of like, it's the name of the evil being is like escaping me, like Toka.
I don't quote me on that. I don't.
Okay. the evil spirit.
The difficult name to
When
say.
they show her like her powers manifesting, her multiverse powers like manifesting through movement and like attack, like it's like why was there not something like that in Doctor Strange? Like that's wild.
Yeah, I couldn't help but to think this was super what Doctor Strange should have been.
And the budget being only 25 million, probably because they kept it mostly practical effects. It seemed like a lot of practical effects mixed in with just like crazy camera work, like the lighting effects. It was just a lot of cuts. It didn't seem like a lot of like fake backgrounds or like it seemed like not a whole lot of CGI in a way.
Yeah, it was definitely practical effects, and they made it very interesting. And as someone that creates content, like and edits as well, the editor went into great lengths to make this film what it was, and that's what I want to say. Shout out to Paul Rogers, because if it wasn't for the awesome editing of this film, it probably wouldn't have seemed even halfway decent.
Yeah, agreed.
This film was very convoluted. I liked it. I didn't love it. And I also watched it in segments, to be honest, which, in fairness, it was put into 2 parts. Mm-hmm. So I did kind of watch it in 2 parts, in fairness.
Yeah.
And I went into this film completely blind. I knew nothing about it. And I came out of the film just thinking it was really ambitious and had a lot of post-production effort done in it. And I appreciated the sentiment of a woman figuring out her life by being thrown in the chaos of, not to be funny, but like a multiverse of madness. And then to come out of that scenario and be a better person for it and be able to conduct her life so well or better with her enlightenment of how to live better through living temporarily in these multiverses while living through this crazy scenario. Mm-hmm. Like it was cool. I fuck with that. Like, and they tried to have fun even though it was disruptive at times. I still like appreciate them trying to have fun, but like I feel like that was the Russos that was like, let's insert a joke here. But a lot of times it was disruptive to me.
Yeah. What the everything bagel black hole? Is that what you're like?
I mean, yeah, like
The absurdness sometimes is like
the absurdness too. Like, how did you feel about the bagel thing?
that I liked. I mean, that was like that movie's like real quotable in some ways. Like there's one part where it's like I made a bagel and I put everything on it. Like
On an
like
everything bagel.
Yeah.
And it like and it embodied everything and then collapsed in so it became a bagel. Type shit, I think is what they're getting
It
at.
kind of like reminds me of like the same absurdness of like Kung Fu, like a Stephen Chow movie. I can't.
Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle, yeah.
They like it almost was that absurd at times.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe they're trying to put a joke here. And I also felt, first, I guess let's talk about the ridiculousness. We're talking about one of the universes.
It was Michelle Yeoh's most absurd role I'm sure I've ever seen her in. She's usually
like,
very regal and like you take her seriously, but like here's like I don't know. The part with the hot dog fingers. Too,
well, thank you. That's what I was gonna get to. Is like the hot dog handed universe or hot dog fingered universe. What was your thoughts on that? Like, because that was a disruptive.
Yeah. See, like, so what I thought was, so in a regular universe or like
In this movie, there's no such
in the
thing.
areas of regular universes where she's not completely, mutated, I guess, into like physical.
Alteration.
All of society's been hot dog fingered.
I think it was just like they were born like that.
I was thinking they would never be in a relationship, and in that universe they were in a relationship, and it's such a wild universe. They also have hot dog fingers.
Yeah, and she was a lesbian, which I thought was ironic that their fingers were in the shapes of dicks, and she was with a lesbian, or that she was a lesbian.
Yeah, but they had the hot dog, consistency hot dog.
Well, that's why I was wondering sometimes is like, do they ever bite their fingers? Like, you just can't bite your fingers because then, like, they're gone.
You have to really protect them because they seem like they could get real mangled easy.
So maybe that's why they were together because they managed to keep their fingers intact.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, definitely
A lot of room for sequels here.
there's a lot of room for sequels. Like prequel, I would actually like to see the prequels and of the hot dog fingered individuals. And on the hot dog fingered individuals, I did think it was funny when she's talking to her husband in the heat of a situation, and she's like, "I cannot be the worst Evelyn." She's like, "What about the hot dog fingered one?" And then her husband's like, "No, you're worse than that one." But it's funny because the hot dog fingered one seemed to be the most emotional one, and she was into women. And I thought that was like an interesting thing that they like slid in there, no pun intended.
Well, yeah, because her daughter, had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in like the most obscure world, she saw herself with a woman, which is, whatever. Yeah. Did you also think of how it correlated with The Matrix?
Yeah, in some ways. I mean,
It felt like a multiversal Matrix movie. They even have an office scene like in The Matrix when Neo's trying to avoid the agents at the beginning.
yeah, I could see that. A movie it really reminded me of was like an Edgar Wright movie of like maybe Shaun of the Dead, where every scene feels so like intentional, like they're just like every scene is like moving kind of like in like it has that pace, like it has a quick pace in the beginning to get to the the multiversal stuff. Like it's just like it just feels like it's constantly going into it like with a pace kind of.
I thought it was abrupt when her husband, who was a Goonie, shout out to the Goonies. You remember him? No?
No, I remember
He's
in Short Round.
What is it?
Short Round from Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah.
Word. Wow. Tighten the mic. Yeah, so I did think it felt like The Matrix, and like I said, there was the office scene, and she also stops a bullet.
Yeah.
At the end, like Neo does. And I thought Joy was a ripoff of an agent. And Joy's powers were cool and stuff. But I mean, she did churn, what was it, like bully sticks from cops into dildos? That was pretty lit. I was like, I'll fuck with Joy. Yeah. Like, she's full of joy. She's out here just like churning shit into dildos. Like, she don't give a fuck. That being said, I don't know. Like, what's your overall? Like, we talk about the universe where there's hot dog fingered people, and she's turning things into dildos. Joy. And her name's Joy, and she's a woman that turns weapons into dildos and then kills someone with dildos. Like, what is the best outcome for that film? Like, is this like, can it be someone's favorite?
I think I maybe liked it a little more than you. I thought it was like felt like when I first saw like something like Chappie, where it was like, this feels fresh and different enough that it's like interesting and holds my attention in a way, especially in a time when they say like big movies can't be nothing that's like not Marvel or Star Wars. It's like, this feels like a really big movie. It feels like a big deal. I only now just saw it, but I know that when it came out, it was like a really big, it was like a big deal. Maybe won some awards. I'm not sure about that.
It's award worthy, is what you're saying. I mean,
it has accolades.
I mean, it just felt like naturally. It felt like an assortment of different ideas thrown into one. Like I said, the multiversal storylines and whatnot, and it's kind of ruined because of Marvel, and it also makes the stakes of this film feel really low. Because it's like, I've seen this recently, the multiverse of madness on top of just like time travel. Like, Marvel has ruined cinema in a lot of ways. And I do like Marvel films a lot. There's some shout out to Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Like, I really fuck with some Marvel films, but it has ruined cinema because some of these films are like taking, I think, some of these ideas, and maybe this was intentional, but it just feels stagnant. You got verse jumping which is like, okay, like if this had come out before The Matrix and Marvel, this movie would be so gas. But like both of those have had their reign, and it's like it it doesn't feel that awesome to me because they are pulling from a bunch of ideas. It just feels like they just put a bunch of crazy ideas together in one film, like just like copy and paste it. And I'm not discounting it, but like that's what it feels like from a consumer that watches a decent amount of film.
Yeah.
Like even this film had the original Doctor Strange henchman forehead mark on it. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like a copy and paste of sorts. It's a different shape, but we literally have seen this, and it's weird that this ripped off some Doctor Strange shit and then was like what Doctor Strange 2 should have been, and the Russos are a part of it. Like it's just like weird.
That was
It's
that was
weird to
super
me.
weird.
And there's things that I fucked with about this film. You know, like obviously you can't get mad at fanny pack nunchucks. That shit's cool.
You ever watch Workaholics?
I haven't, but I'm familiar with like what is. I love the one of the cats that is in the Workaholics trio. I got first exposed to him in Modern Family. He's like he's a Manny because he's a male
tall guy?
Manny. No, he's the
Short guy.
He's
but
got
not
the
guy
comb
with
over.
yeah.
The comb over guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but he's
so
funny.
there's a guy in this movie that's from Workaholics. So as soon as I saw him, it took me like right out of it. I was like, oh man, that's Wayman. Like he's just an office guy, never speaks a line, but he's just there.
For real?
Like, so
Yeah, I mean, this film, they did some cool shit. Like, did you see how they went from full screen to widescreen mid film?
yeah.
I was like, that's dope. That was clever.
One thing I really liked too was like, so Doctor Strange comes out. How many universes did they really go to in Doctor Strange? Like they spent significant time in just two. It's like in a multiverse of madness, you should be going to like 50. Like even there is a sequence where American Chavez and Doctor Strange like fall through like maybe 4 or 5 or maybe a little bit more, but still it wasn't like Multiverse of Madness should have just been this should have been this movie kind of.
And like for real. And then like how did you feel with the fighting? Because like being on the talk that it felt like this is what Doctor Strange 2 should have been, because like that's the headline of this. Is like this should have been Doctor Strange 2. And I'm not trying to build up Marvel films, but like this is the awesome trippiness, well edited, interesting film I would have wanted with Doctor Strange. A better main character, and no diss to Evelyn, she was great, but like it's it is what it is.
Yeah. I thought the fighting was okay. I mean they used the real people, so what they did for the movie was just speed up like regular time. It looks just like
that's cool.
It is cool. It has the whole movie has that weird like abrupt style, like
Unconventional,
super fast paced. Like it's just like
it does.
It's
That's what I'm saying.
It's a super dense movie. There's so much like information kind of coming at you. It's just like
the rewatch value would be high, but like I on some level, I don't want to say, disinterested, but just like based on some of these notions, I just don't care. Like because it's similar to some shit that I've seen, and it's like this was supposed to feel like a really original film, and it didn't.
yeah.
It did a spin-off of something that was cool, but it's all those things have been incorporated between the Matrix and Marvel, and
I'm super impressed they did it for $25 million compared to what movies are. They tell us what movies cost. Like
no,
$25 million is significantly low.
Yeah,
for a movie that with this much like effects,
Yeah, I agree. We were talking about disruptive shit that happens in it. What did you think about the Ratatouille joke situation?
That was something. Sometimes lines are just like throwaway lines, and then to see it just like expand, that was just like super wild. And when they first showed like the wok restaurant, or like what do they call that? Like the where the guys are like cooking right in front of you, hibachi.
Hibachi.
I didn't get that the other guy was being so good because he had the raccoon under it. It was only till later that it was like, oh my god, it's at that restaurant. Like when they connected it, when got him fired and like helped him try to get the raccoon back or something.
Yeah, like disruptive, and it's like I don't know what their intention was. Like I fucked with a lot of things they did. Like I liked how they expanded on certain ideas. Like they showed that small changes in certain realities, there was like this system of it was like a web system of realities or
Yeah, their
universes.
armbands or the pads they had. Every time something happened, you'd see the divergent things that go off of it on their leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which was like cool, but at the same time, I don't,
yeah.
like they did try.
Maybe the whole raccoon part was just to illustrate this is how easy a
Multiverse?
a multiversal another dimension is spawned off. Like just the suggestion of
A film.
no, a suggestion of like, someone misspeaking. She's supposed to say ratatouille. She comes up with ratatouille and then comes up with this like crazy.
Sure.
The whole universe, the multiverse, like spawns that universe
based on
like,
that slight change.
just on that like misspeak kind of.
Yeah, no, and I did. That's all. That. Thank you for expanding on that. That's like I salute to them. That's cool. Did you? Speaking of the multiversal shit, like, did you like how they jumped universes? Like, they had to do something really obscure and shit to disrupt some like abnormality of what was happening in their own reality to like allow them to use the.
Connect or
Yeah, like, did you like that? Like eating chapstick,
I
for
thought
instance?
it was real strange. I mean, I never didn't think that was like strange. It was always, but I mean, it's that it was aligned with a lot of the humor in it already. So like, it wasn't out of place necessarily. It just wasn't like.
I thought it was clever, but then I thought they took it to a weird place when like dudes were trying to like sit on
The butt plug fight.
Yeah, the butt. Is that what we're calling it? The butt plug fight? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, why was that so? It wasn't even like one instance. Like, dude tries to like sit on this.
See, that's how dense that movie kind of is. If you like
Bad choice of
rewatch
words.
it, everything they put in it is slowly building. There's a payoff to everything they mentioned. There's a payoff to it. You can like watch the payoff like go through the movie,
Which was exhausting.
Yeah, yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah, it requires like your attention.
you're like, oh, I know why they're doing this, and okay, I get why they're doing this, but it wasn't like I said, I went in blind watching this film, and it wasn't the most enjoyable watch. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And I love trippy shit, but like this almost felt try hard, and that's okay because it's like I know the writers definitely put a lot of effort into this. Obviously, like you're not just gonna like spew this out.
Just thinking on it now, it kind of does remind me in some ways of like Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like the multiple universes, and then in one universe she's a starlet, and Waymond is like a Nor actor himself, and they have that like scene in the alley where like. It's real emotional. A portion of their movie.
It's actually probably the best scene in the movie.
It was where he's like explaining his style of fighting. Like that part, like was emotional to me.
Are you talking about when they're in their like their red carpet shit?
In that universe? But like
that universe was the best universe where she was so attracted to that version of her reality, and then like her husband was. He made a comment because they were having some sort of adverse situation, and he's like, she mentions that she might be just owning a laundromat, struggling doing taxes with him in a different universe, and he's like, I would probably prefer that over this, her glamorous movie star shit, and that's the one she kept going back to the most.
Yeah,
and like she was the worst version of herself. Yeah. And like her worst version of herself wanted to be the version of herself that she actually was, that was depicted in the film, which is interesting.
Yeah, that was a good part. They even affected the part where like while they're talking, they're moving like normally, but if you watch the crowd, it's like moving like a Nor movie. Like it's like it was
fast.
like blurring or something.
Yeah, no, I fuck with that.
That was good.
Like, because to me when they do that shit, they're like, there's so much going around, but like this is like the most important shit, which I agree. And my point of view, watching the film when you called it Nor, that was my favorite. Her Hollywood version was my favorite of her versions.
Yeah.
because of the dynamic between her spouse. Because it was very dynamic and interesting, and it was very reflective to the form or universal self that's being watched from the point of view of the consumer. Like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's just tight. Fuck
Yeah.
with that. Ooh. They broke the film into 2 chapters, like I said. Like, do you think that was meaningful? Because I didn't think it was, but
I feel like that was just like when I was saying it was so dense. I feel like in dense they're throwing like information at you like crazy. Like you just have to like be paying attention, or like you split it in 2 parts, then your mind just kind of like compartmentalizes like it. It's like
nailed
okay,
it.
this is when, and then I'll start the new like chapter 2. Like
Yeah,
the
which this
understanding
film
of
is
it.
like that.
Yeah.
In fairness,
Yeah.
which is tight. They tried really hard. I don't want to call it a try hard film, but they tried really hard to make something that people would undeniably be interested in if they were into something that required thought.
Yeah.
But it felt too much sometimes, and I love those well thought out written stories. But this was extra.
But it seems so in line with things like it though, like where I was saying like the Kung Fu Hustle kind of like that seems like it's almost extra sometimes. It is extra sometimes. It's just the way. I'm trying to think of another one like that.
I like those satirical films. They're funny.
The ping pong movie.
What?
Man, I can't think of who's in it. This guy plays ping pong. It's like
I already love
Christopher Walken is like
Shut up.
It's like Kickboxer, but it's all about ping pong.
And Christopher Walken's in it?
Yeah.
Yo, can we review this fucking film?
I'm trying
This
to think of
sounds
who else is in it.
Is he the
think of the
trainer? Is
actor.
Christopher Walken the trainer?
No, he's like the trainer is the grandpa. Doon.
Oh, is the dude in this film?
Yeah.
Oh, word.
Yeah, the grandpa.
Actually, it's the Asian dude teaching him.
He's the trainer. He's blind, and he's like, catch this fly, and the guy catches the fly and he eats it, and then he's like, that's my pet fly. And it's a comedy. It seems like a movie that would have been built for Chris Farley, but he had already passed. So they got this other guy. This guy has not been in a whole lot of movies.
I fuck with that. We should review that. Sounds great.
Balls of Fury, I think it's called.
Oh, that's the one?
Yeah.
Oh, word. I've heard that before. That sounds something that we should dive into. It's legit. Did so the Ratatouille thing,
I thought it was
the raccoony thing.
Yeah, it seemed it was in place with everything else. I mean, it was strange.
It was in place, but like it was by the end when they do that last sequence when she switches spots, and then I'm like, all right, like enough. I'm like, roll credits. Like, all right, we get it. She's the one. Like
there were parts of that reminded me of like Spike Jones type stuff, like watching like Becoming John Malkovich, where things are just like wild, like at the time.
And it's like, I get it. I fuck with it, but like this movie just packed it the whole time. I was like, okay, like enough. And like I said, I love stupid shit. Like Dodgeball, I think is the best comedy of all time. So I love stupid, but like I think there needs to be some like craft to it. And then when it's redundant, I'm like, okay, like I get it. Like the raccoony thing, it wasn't that. I could have thought of some way better alternate. Like that was the best alternate one, and hot dog finger one, like I'll give you that. All right, like, but then the raccoony, like, what are we doing? You know, like because we're the fan base that would fuck with this, and I still think it was a good film. But like, I'm not gonna go buy it or like tell people to watch it, because if I'm not even fucking with it, then no one else is gonna be fucking with it. Like you fucked up. You went too far, in my opinion, for people to have some sort of like strong affinity towards this film. Like it didn't take itself seriously enough. And like you gotta have enough grains of seriousness to get like heavy people liking heavy shit. Like they just kind of like threw this film away on some level that like bummed me out, because I'm like, this could be like some monumental shit, and it's just like some throwaway shit.
There's a lot of yin and yang like imagery in it. So like maybe where they're talking about, you know, the Black Death of like pointlessness or like things not meaning anything, nothing matters. They have this other shit that's like the googly eyes, you know, just like silly. You know, it's like the polar opposite, you know.
Did you Did you like the rock universe? What did you think of that?
I did. I did.
You did like
I like the payoff of when she's like learning to let go of her daughter. That
she goes off a cliff.
The rock goes off the cliff, and then she comes to some other epiphany where it's like, "Fuck, I'm gonna jump with you." And it's just like the commitment to that. See that's where the movie's like you're committed to these like things. And it's like that's cool. At least the commitment of like we're gonna go this far with it. We're gonna
agreed.
Yeah.
It's gonna get. I respect this movie, but like, don't expect me to like request this to watch with other people because like I just don't give a fuck. Yeah. And it was like okay,
and to go back to like the pinata universe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you too. Like, what do you think about the pinata universe?
What?
It just went so far, and I liked it, but it just like then they like kept bringing it back. There was like a broken pinata, and I'm like, okay, like you guys couldn't come up with like a different one, like you played on the rock thing.
Well, if you like where it flashes through the multiverse, like it just like is going through like 100 real quick. They actually do add a bunch in that little part, but you'd have to slow it down to see. But that's where Doctor Strange kind of went wrong too, where it was just like you couldn't just like flash to something else. Like you couldn't just.
Did you listen to that review I put out with Doctor Strange?
I might have listened to the short videos. I don't know if I listened to it.
Yeah, listen to it because there's a lot of frustration, and because that was like I was looking forward to that film. Like I didn't give a fuck about a lot of Marvel shit, but like the first Doctor Strange was good, and I was like, oh, naturally the direction they were going in. I thought it was inevitably going to be like a really strong film, like above all the other bullshit, like Thor, Love and Thunder. Like I didn't give a fuck. Like I was like Doctor Strange, my guy, third eye with it, and it just was the movie half was dope and half trash. It was sad, and it's 2 hours is like an hour is trash, hour is fire. It just is mixed feelings. You know
See, like Doctor Strange missed it in those ways, but it's also then just like a Marvel movie. I can appreciate in this movie that it's at least. Movies should be trying to teach people stuff in some ways. So like the fact that they would go into trying to, teach people through this movie about accepting that ultimately life does not matter, what happens after. That's what they say in like Buddhism, the enlightenment is that accepting that life is terrible and everybody's life is terrible and that's just the way it is and like deriving happiness from that. It's at that point in the movie when she puts the googly eye on, like a third eye.
Eyes?
Yeah, googly eyes. Oh yeah,
is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I fucked with it. Because shout out to the third eye, goddammit. I fuck with third eyes. Do you have one? We all got one.
Yeah, I mean, a sense. Oh,
it is like a sense. The third eye is like a completely different. It's astral sense.
Yeah,
of sorts. In some ways,
I feel I've dreamt the future. Like I have a dream that has no context, and then at some point I find myself in a situation where it's like, I'm having deja vu of a dream I had 6 months ago, where now I am a cook. I had a dream like it was before I like became a cook, and I was like, now I am a cook, and like I am in the kitchen.
Did you have a dream about you being an artist?
Not that I can really remember.
You're not even dreaming about it. You fucking fraud.
I don't dream too often. I don't really get that like REM
I prefer
sleep.
not to.
Yeah, I mean,
dreaming can suck most of the times. Yeah. Like it's not like a fun experience for me at least. It's troublesome.
I'm aware in my dreams, so like I'm usually bummed out in dreams because I'm like, this is not real. Like, what the fuck am I?
Mine are usually like struggle and like
to sleep.
Well, like my dreams are never like very rarely do I wake up and I'm like, that was a great dream. Yeah. It's always like that dream was a struggle. Like
a nightmare.
I like of sorts, and it's like funny, how like Evelyn in this film, she like traces back in her reality of whatever universe she's tapping into and kind of lives it real quick, which is dope. But like dreams are like that for me, where like. Generally, they're not happy places to be in. Unfortunately, like I love a good dream.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man.
Even the wet dreams. I'm looking at the camera, fuck y'all. being funny, but like that ass, like dreams usually are very troublesome, and I wake up like sweating and like in fear. I'm like, this shit is not okay. Like I just thought that I was, in some real shit, but
Have
yeah.
you seen Dark Stuff?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
stuff's haunting.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
100%. And I don't like I don't know what the attribute is to with that notion. It's like sometimes I feel like some of the things are belief systems I had previously, like when I was younger, that like haunt me almost. But yeah, like I've had certain dreams that just like permanence of a situation, and that's really like fearful. Like a permanent situation of any sort is haunting, and whether I'm in a all black box or whatever, it's just you wake up to these things and you're like, I hope that does not happen. Like
Get sucked into a everything bagel.
like I wasn't dealing with bread goods. You know what I mean? We were like the whole grocery store type shit. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yo, one thing that I noticed in the film, if we're coming back to it, when they're at the IRS or the audit joint, and Evelyn gets told by her super husband, he switches real quick, and he's like, gives a list for her, and then it says, press the green button, like step 3 or some shit. How did she know what the green button was? Because she didn't know. Like, it was on her ears, and like that was a discrepancy. I was like, that was a big point.
For movie clerical things, there was a lot of things I either just missed or like. So at the end, the grandpa, the alpha is taken over the grandpa more and more towards the end. The alpha grandpa is taken over the.
How did you feel about the alpha verse, if you will? Was it lame to you? Or like, because they look like Ghostbuster Matrix.
It was kind of campy. I mean, but it suggests like a whole other situation. I mean, that they got to be on the run, like to
it was literally like
broadcast,
Ghostbuster shit.
That it's very similar to Matrix. Imagine they're in a ship. It's just a shitty version
They said
of that
Ghostbuster
ship.
Matrix shit. It was like the Ghostbusters doing the Matrix shit.
Yeah.
Did you not feel that?
I did. There was a few different things that it felt like to me. It felt like a big Mod Podge of like movies in a way, tonally, and then like. It was cool to see the guy from Indiana Jones in it. I think that guy.
I didn't know who it was till mid film, and I was like, is this the dude? That's.
And to see the range of him, basically the Wayland, besides the Alpha Wayman, he's consistently the way he was until you get to that Nor universe, and then he's like super slick, and then he just.
That's why I love that shit, because like that dude is actually the movie star.
Yeah,
she's not per se, and so it was like clever that he was the movie star, and he's like, I'd rather just be with you with a laundromat, and that was like a really strong display of love, and like he in real life is the movie star. And she is, I guess, but like he's been doing it since he was fucking a child. Yeah. So it was like there was this irony there that I really appreciated. It was my favorite moments in the film. The one being where he's like, I'd rather be in a laundromat with you than this bullshit being all glamorous like you think it is. Like that was the most powerful sentiment in the film, because I thought this film was full of sentiment. Yeah. Like even with Evelyn calling her daughter fat. You need to eat healthier, you're fat. And then at the end, when she realizes she needs to be better, she still says the line, because she's like, I'm still saying you're fat. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, she still figures shit out.
She truly is the worst Evelyn. She says those things, and then she's still like slightly bigoted about her daughter having a girlfriend. It's like, how often do you have a main character who is like, they're going to actually learn something. They're not necessarily forgivable, like being bigoted, like you're having a problem like that. Like to commit to a main character being like that and showing like the change, like that's kind of cool. You don't often see that in bigger movies, just because they don't want to take that risk of a character.
But then she did she overly accepted, which I thought was funny. She's like, enough, fuck you, mom. She's like, you're still fat, but.
Or when she tells her girlfriend to cut her hair at the end, like it's like showing that she accepts her and but she holds her just she's still a critical lady. Like Evelyn's still like
she's still a cunty bitch. That's fair. I just don't think this film could have been what it was or have come to fruition if it wasn't a subcategory of the Matrix. Like, I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
And it was still original, but it just wouldn't have been what it was. And there was like, I talk about sentiment, like I appreciate them showing like small business struggles, right? And like getting audited and like just trying to like figure shit out. I fuck with that because I mean that's real shit. And they also like implement this like really trippy element, like she's traveling through like multiverses, just trying to be a better person. And like that's cool. Like I fuck with that. Like that's a you did what you were going for, I guess. But like I still am apprehensive about how much I fuck with it because of its predecessors, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. One thing I really like about it, I felt like, because a lot of it's about family ties. There's like a lot of family relationships going on, a lot of between parents, grandparents, that type of thing. Being a parent is very bittersweet. I felt like that the movie encapsulated that kind of,
Wow.
them being the polar opposites, the entities. Like I guess Evelyn would be the entity of good if the daughter was the entity of darkness. She'd be like the yin and yang. Like, I totally lost my thought.
Nah, it's just like they had a cool power struggle between the mother and the daughter because that's a real thing, I think. And it was cool how they displayed it. And the daughter was the one that knew allegedly what was good with it. She had the bagel insight. And then like the mother figured out what was even better. So like she like one-upped her with like her daughter was on to some shit like, yeah, mom, you're fucked up. And then like she didn't think she was fucked up at all. Then she realized she was fucked up, but then like realized that like even though I'm fucked up, like I can still be fucked up a little bit and still be right and still help you versus like you knowing what's best for you. Type shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this film had a weird tone, okay? Obviously, with hot dog fingered, fanny pack nunchucks, we had... What did you think about the fucking...
The Pomeranian...
Pomeranian, like, whip?
Ball and chain.
Ball and chain. Like, yeah, like, it's obviously inevitable this film's gonna feel a type of way when, like, a Pomeranian gets, like, ball and chain into a refrigerator, but, like...
I loved that she was so ready to do that, but then like flipped and was like, when the dog got stuck in the
Clothes
fridge.
in the fridge.
Like, yeah. I think the dog's name was Jenny or something. She's like, Jenny. And then she gets ready to whip it back and then like does the same exact thing. Like,
I think this film they should have went like more that direction.
Yeah,
because like that was actually like funny as fuck. I was like that's probably the funniest part. And she's like sorry, and then she like kicks her dog and like whatever. Being that a fight scene, like, what did you feel about the fight sequences? Because you're comparing it to like Kung Fu Hustler, whatever the fuck it's called. Did you like the fight sequences? Because I thought the fanny pack shit was tight, but like
a lot of it wasn't. They were just like serviceable. They were not very good.
Yeah,
just,
I agree.
But that's mainly because it seemed like Wayman was doing the stunts himself. Michelle Yeoh was doing like the stunts herself. So, I mean,
it was like cool. I just like it got redundant after a while. You know what I mean? Like it was like with the jokes, like they overdid stuff.
I really like the whole, like I think I've said the takedown of the cops in the hallway by the daughter using like multiversal powers, where she
with
like
dildos.
The dildos was one, and then another one she becomes like a wrestler. And,
that shit was tight.
A Nacho Libre, like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like her power, I think you touched on that earlier. Like her powers were tight. Like I fuck with it, and they played on it all the way. But it's like I never thought I'd say that like someone went too far, but like they kind of did. Like just reeled in a little or expanded more on the shit that they displayed. I guess. Did I talk about Jamie Lee Curtis in the film?
No, that surprised me the most.
Okay, she was a great government employee, and I loved how she like her character. She had the like off-color tan wrist brace that like 47% of government employees use that type on computers. And I love that because it was so accurate to what that person would be that's auditing you. And then in the hot dog fingered world, because she doesn't use her hands apparently, she had a ankle brace
on her foot,
on her ankle to play the piano and such. And I just really appreciate, like, it was funny, like, but like you have to pay attention for the funny.
Yeah.
It was like to get the payoffs, you had to be glued in, which I can appreciate, but like Jesus Christ,
yeah,
like that was like if you're gonna do the hot dog world, like that was a really good thing to tie into the hot dog world, like her playing piano with her toes and then having an ankle brace. Like that's some shit I would like to think that I would come up with if we were running with the notion and storyline that there would be a hot dog fingered world. Like that is good. Fuck with it. And she's, you know, lesbian with the character, so it's just like extra like obscure, to be honest. Like the only world that she was a lesbian, like her daughter, was the hot dog fingered world. Like hilarious. Like, did you think that the age of all the realities aged at the same time, or like could you go back in time, or was like everything was current and you say you lived 80 years? Like, after 80, you were done. Because it felt like she could tap into younger versions of herself and never die. Like, do you think that was, like, a possibility in this world or no?
I don't know. I was wondering that with, like, when they went to, like, a feudal Japan, like, scene. Like a Crouching Tiger kind of scene. But I just figured that...
In the woods, right?
They don't explain it. Yeah, in the woods. I figured they just don't explain it because it's, like, it's a reality that... You know, things didn't get industrialized or something. Like it's not necessarily in the past, but it's current. But
I like your scope on that.
Yeah, because it did seem like it time traveled at some point, like at the
like she was living in those time frames.
I felt like it time traveled twice,
but she was always her like normal age self in those other universes. So I was like, I was curious if she could be younger because it looked like they made it look like she lived through the event, so then she like prospered from those events, so that it's like she lived through that whole life, which I kind of like, but maybe not. Maybe it was just like some shortcut shit. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. They leave it very open ended. I mean, you have
which is bullshit because they're so concise with all this other nonsense.
They put in so much effort elsewhere. They leave some holes for you to like fill it with your mind. Like you're just like, I wonder what. You make up your own shit in your head.
No, which is cool. And like this movie is clever. We talk about the widescreen, going full screen to widescreen. I really appreciate that. We're both editors, and that was like a really cool sentiment. And like the fake credit roll was gas. Really fucked with that. I was like, it's over, and I was like, I don't think it is. And I was like,
I knew it wasn't like I knew something was up because I had also paused it like around the middle.
Oh, you paused this film too?
I paused it. Because
like I don't normally like, to be clear, I don't normally pause films, but this one I paused twice.
I paused it like right in the middle, and that part comes up like 5 minutes after the middle. So then I was like, so there's a whole hour and 20 minutes left. I was like, and I was like, this is not the end. Like, this is just like now going into something else, and it did. So, but
do you want to add anything else to the film?
About the film?
Yeah, anything.
As you know, having my own family, I think those parts were like getting to me a bit more, just because I was saying earlier. I think I forgot my point, but like the bittersweetness of like having family sometimes, like even if you don't have kids, the bittersweetness of like having parents or siblings or like family members
close
people you feud with, like
sure
that life's not easy with, so.
It's not just hard out here for people that don't have kids.
Yeah,
we all have challenges.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah,
don't think
there was a big, strong parenting theme in it too. But
it was. That's what, and I touched on that. That's what I'm saying. Like her daughter being right but wrong, right for the wrong reasons, and then like adjusting to that as a parent should.
Yeah,
there's a lot of sentiment in this film, and I really fuck with it. And as a man that you are of 12 kids. I want to have you on the show for this. Yeah. So tell the people what you're all about. Like where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, the Lee J. Giles Facebook. I got to get my own website sometime, but
You don't
right
have a
now,
website?
nah.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I'm that's why I compared in my eyes. You like, man, this guy's organized. This guy's got his shit together.
Oh,
Like,
man.
compared to me, like compared to myself, that's my
I help you.
basis of
I help
comparison.
you. I help you. Don't worry about. I got you. Next time you come on the show, you're gonna have a website.
But
You didn't bring any artwork. I wanted you
I
like for the video to
didn't.
show some
Yeah, I
artwork. It's
forgot.
okay. Next time. It's
Next
all right.
time, man.
Do you want to do the
They'll
knives?
see it on the promotion of the video, maybe.
Yeah,
or
I
like the
can
title.
post your Facebook link.
Yeah, oh yeah, Facebook.
Nah, I
or
got
I'm
you. I'll
on
put it in the description.
Instagram.
Yeah.
I do art for people. We book shows in Portland. People want to reach out. I do Beyond the Mic with JT Sloan.
Oh, name drop. Fuss with you.
We're out there. Look for us. We're doing shows.
Yeah, no, I got you. And yeah, I'll help you make a website.
Good.
You go put all your work on there because you are a good artist. I wouldn't have you on the show if you weren't a good artist. And I want everybody to know that Lee J. Giles is the man. I fuck with him.
Thanks, man.
And I appreciate you coming on the show.
Appreciate you having me, man. This is fun.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anxiety about being on film, but
Oh, you had
I handled
anxiety?
it all right.
Don't worry about it. You good. You good. So what's your rating scale from 1 to 10 to the 10th place for Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I'll give it like a strong 8.
8. Okay. All right. I'm going to hit it with a 7.2.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because you can go to 10th place.
Okay.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
You still go
Strong
hard 8.
eight.
Hard 8. All right. Well, word. All right. So I'll have Lee J. Giles shit in the description. And I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. And got a lot more dope shit coming up. Merry Christmas episodes. Wait on it. All right. Yeah, if you want to say what's up, got some movie recommendations, hit me up at the Movie Rant Break. I appreciate everybody. I love y'all. And thank you for listening to this episode. I'll check you next episode. Deuces.
See?